Hey guys, thanks for being here for this Pride Week interview today. I'm here with Kim and Kai, who are living in Hanoi, Vietnam. Hi guys.
Hi.
We are doing this video for our second annual Pride Week, International TEFL Academy Pride Week, coming up here in June. And last year was our first one. It was such a huge success, and we got so much just thank you, gratitude from our students about sharing these stories that we had to do it again. We had to do it bigger than last time. So, yeah, I have a list of questions here. I know Kim and Kai. What time is it there in Hanoi, Vietnam, girls?
It's about 20 past 9, so
in the evening.
in the evening.
Yeah. Well, it is bright and sunny here in Chicago, so if there's any lag in the internet, that's totally cool. That's just global conversations.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to start with some questions. You guys have seen these, as I mentioned, about your experiences living in Vietnam. So let's just start at the beginning. You know, before you even went abroad, did you guys go abroad together? Did you meet abroad? And what were some of your concerns before moving abroad to teach English?
Okay, so I'll go first because I actually went to Thailand before this last year for 5 months, and I really wanted to take a year off to travel, but I didn't want to spend an entire year overseas. So I was looking at countries that could do a shorter work contract, and Thailand was one of those countries. So I decided that it would be a good idea to do it for a short time and see if it was a good fit for me and if I enjoyed firstly teaching, secondly teaching abroad, and thirdly living abroad, and it would be a good option for me. And I ended up really enjoying it, and I wanted to do it with Caira and for us to go away together and do it for a longer period of time.
So I visited Kim in Thailand, and that's kind of when we decided that we wanted to do this again in Vietnam. And I honestly think that this was the best decision we could have made. We're having so much fun. And teaching is also really a lot of fun and also so rewarding if you're in it for the right reasons as well.
Yeah, right on. So did you guys have any fears about it? You know, was there anything that kind of stuck out to you as, are we going to get through this piece?
Yes, so actually, our first choice was to go to South Korea, but they were not too keen on having a same-sex couple teach at their schools. So the school directors and the parents had a problem with it, and we went through so many rejections, and we decided that Vietnam would be a good plan B if South Korea didn't work out. So, and I'm really happy that we are here because we feel so much safer and accepted as a couple, and we're allowed to live together and teach together without any problems. So,
Oh, I love that. Plan B
Yeah.
turned to best possible option, huh?
exactly.
Yeah. And I think another concern that we did have was obviously coming to a foreign country as a couple. That's a main concern.
Yeah.
But it's been okay. We haven't had any prejudices against us or anything yet. Also, another concern would obviously be that we're people of color in a foreign country, which can be kind of scary sometimes.
Yes.
Women of color as well, women as women in general, that's really scary as well. And then maybe just like schools, or not even the schools, just being allowed to live together. Like when we applied for jobs in South Korea, it was a weird situation where they said we couldn't live together
Unless we were married.
unless we're married, or we had to be as a couple,
Yeah.
which is not something we wanted to do. So yeah, those are some concerns. And then concerns related to Vietnam probably would have been the pollution and the heat. That is a lot sometimes to deal with. Um,
And also, everyone said that we should definitely rent a motorbike while we're here. And when we first arrived, like the traffic is just, Hanoi is known for the traffic
Crazy.
and the chaotic road. So we initially were terrified to actually drive, but we went for a lesson or two, and now we're feeling like pretty confident on the roads. But it was something that I was worried about, but now everything worked out and it's great.
Yeah. Maybe another thing would also be that language is obviously a big thing. I mean, you're coming to a foreign place to teach English, and their first language is not always English, so you don't really understand what's happening around you most of the time. But so language was one of the concerns, and also where we be placed in
Yes,
Vietnam.
when we initially applied to teach in Vietnam, they asked us to be flexible or open-minded when it came to placement, and they said that we wouldn't necessarily be placed in Hanoi, and we could be in what they call tier 2 cities, so like a smaller rural area, smaller province just outside of Hanoi, or anywhere around Vietnam in the north. So we were mentally preparing ourselves for that. And just after we finished training, they told us that they just opened a brand new language center in Hanoi, and that we would be placed there. So
Nice.
yeah.
You guys, I mean, that's a very healthy list of concerns that you got through to get there. So, I mean, obviously the adventure was still more important than any of that at the end. So do you guys share a motorbike with, put a baby in the middle and a baby in the back like a true Vietnamese family, or do you get your own bikes?
We do share a bike.
Yeah.
I am petrified of driving the bike.
That's fair.
I don't do it. Yeah, I don't do it in Hanoi. Kim usually drives. I love you for driving. But other than that, I choose not to, just because I am a very careful person, and people here are not careful when they're driving. So I feel safer when someone else is driving, and I just need to get to where I need to be.
So when you were planning on going abroad and you were kind of working through some of these very real fears, very normal fears, what kind of resources around you did you take advantage of to get confident and prepare to arrive in Vietnam?
Well, for Thailand, I applied just after I completed my TEFL course in Barcelona, and our trainers or teachers during the course had sent us a list of websites and useful resources to use when looking for jobs abroad. So I looked at all the Thailand ones, and that's actually how I ended up finding my recruitment agency in Thailand, and I went and I worked with them.
Nice.
But for Vietnam, we knew so many people who had come to Hanoi in the last year or two, and we actually found out about our company called Apex through them.
Yeah. I mean, I also think that social media plays a big role in anything these days. And yeah, we had seen so many posts about teachers abroad, so we kind of just looked into that, and anything on the internet in general really helped us get through the process and where we wanted to be, where we wanted to teach, location-wise, ages that we wanted to teach, where we could travel to.
Yeah, awesome. So give us some of your thoughts on dating while living abroad. It sounds like you guys were just together, so you can share that stories or any stories you've heard from around you. As an expat living in a foreign country, what are some experiences you've had in dating?
Okay, well, for us personally, how we met on Tinder in Cape Town.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we had met like maybe 6 months before I decided that I was going to Thailand, and so we had to do long distance, and it was really difficult. And so we decided that we have to, if we ever travel again, we have to go together.
That experience has been really cool, traveling. While I visited Kim in Thailand, we traveled to how many places?
about 4 cities in 10 days.
4 cities in 10 days.
That's
And yeah, we even ended up going to Malaysia just to do a visa run, which is also really, really cool. Now we're in Vietnam and we're exploring Vietnam together, which is really, really nice. I mean, it's nice to be in a foreign country, but it's so much nicer to be here with someone that you love and someone that you love experiencing with. So this experience has been really cool. We've only been in Vietnam for 3 months, but so far so good, and we've done enough to say that being here as an LGBTQIA plus couple has been a really cool experience.
yeah. Oh, this feels like a Valentine's Day broadcast. So going back to, yeah, being abroad, LGBTQ plus, what's the community like there, and what about it surprised you, if anything?
So for me, on our first weekend here, we were at a lake. And this lake is really busy with foreigners, expats, and many, many locals exercising, walking around. And while we were sitting there, almost like a fight broke out. And you could see that it was two queer people fighting with three men.
Straight men.
Let's say men. We don't know. And this fight kind of just broke out, and we didn't understand what was going on because it wasn't Vietnamese, but they were just like fighting and kind of making fun of the queer guy and just like blatantly disrespecting him. And at the end of it, we realized cameras were coming out, and it was actually some program in Vietnam or web program that raises awareness about the LGBTQIA plus community in Vietnam. So that was really nice to see. It was our first weekend here. We didn't really know what to expect, and that was really nice to see. Um, there are also a lot of places around Hanoi specifically that are kind of
Gay friendly.
gay friendly.
They have the flag, they have the colors, you can see it very clearly. There is a Pride Week coming up in August, and
Nice.
I've never attended any Pride celebrations before, so I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah.
And our friends that have come here in the past few months, they did actually find the community, and they were like a big part of it, and they have lots of events and debates and meetings, and yeah, it sounds really cool, and I want to get more involved.
Very, very cool. So it sounds like there's a very active community there in Hanoi.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Sure.
Cool. So you kind of answered this a little earlier when you explained how Vietnam was Plan B, but how did you come to understand that Vietnam would be a place where you could feel safe and accepted as a part of the LGBTQ plus community? Does that make sense?
We knew that South Korea was on the other end
Of the spectrum.
of the spectrum, and we knew that Thailand was also like on the opposite. So we were looking for countries that were similar to Thailand and share their same values with regards to accepting LGBTQ people. And I think the main thing was I had a very good friend who considers herself non-binary, and she went to Vietnam and had the most amazing experience. She actually came out as non-binary while she was here in Hanoi because the people were so accepting and supportive of her and just made her feel comfortable. So we knew that it would be a good place for us, and that we would not feel judged or threatened, discriminated against, or anything like that.
Cool. That's awesome. So that kind of leads me to my next question. You know, the question is, did you come out while living abroad? But it sounds like yes. It sounds like you didn't have to. You just get to walk in and be who you are. But do you have any stories to share of coming out, maybe any challenges you had to overcome, how it relates to living abroad? Or not, you know, if you're just like, it was never an issue, that's cool too.
So we're lucky that we do have very, very accepting and respect for people that we surround ourselves with, from our parents to our friends to the people we choose to hang out. I also feel like coming out is not a one-time thing. You constantly have to go over those processes over and over again. And that's no one's fault. It's just that it's not always obvious that you may be part of a community like that.
We work with a lot of Vietnamese staff at our center, and they're constantly asking both of us, so do you have a boyfriend? And then we just have to say, no, actually, we are a couple.
Yeah. And that was not a big thing at all. Some of them said, oh, okay, we could see that. But the others were completely taken aback, not in a bad way. It's not always obvious, you know?
Yeah, and the students are also constantly asking, Teacher Kim, do you have a boyfriend?
Yeah.
Same thing in China. They always want to know what your story is.
Yeah, it's like the first question, even before, how are you?
Are you married? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so my next question is, it sounds like it could segue really easily. What are some of your most memorable experiences living abroad together? Or visiting Thailand, whatever.
Yeah, okay, well, for me in Thailand, I think one of the most memorable experiences was obviously when Caira came to visit. She was there for 3 weeks, and I managed to take some time off school, off work, to travel a little bit with her. And during that experience, that's when we realized that we actually wanted to do something like this together as a couple for a year. And that's when like our planning began. So that was a really good experience to have together. With regards to teaching, it was my first time teaching. It was my first job actually. So
Wow.
that was an experience in itself. I really enjoyed the kindergarten kids. I didn't think I would enjoy teaching such a young age because you have to be really animated with them. Otherwise, you just lose their attention. But I had a lot of fun with them, and our lessons were really like active and engaging, and we'd like play games and sing songs and run around the classroom. And those were some of my best lessons. With the older kids, I didn't think that they liked me in the beginning. But in my last week, they surprised me with like all of these handmade gifts and cards and pictures that they printed out of us together, and that was like really sweet. The last thing is the food in Thailand was absolutely unreal. It's the one thing that I miss. we always look for Thai restaurants here in Vietnam. Not that the Vietnamese food isn't good, it's just that the Thai food is just so much better.
Yeah. What is that dish in Hanoi that Anthony Bourdain had to Barack Obama that's really popular?
Oh my gosh, we literally live next door to that restaurant.
Yeah.
And they framed the table where Obama.
I bet. There's a restaurant here in Chicago that serves that bun cha Hanoi, and they've just got pictures of that scene just plastered all around the restaurant. I'm super proud. It's really sweet.
Yeah, which is good.
It's definitely one of our favorite dishes.
Yeah. So, what kind of cultural boundaries have you found to be different than your home country? You know, can you explain a little bit about how the cultural barrier has come into play in your life?
They aren't really. I mean, yeah, culture shock was a major thing to deal with. We had to deal with people speaking really loudly, and it's not that they're being aggressive, it's just that that's how the Vietnamese.
Yeah, they're very loud. You wouldn't think that Asians were like that, but they really are.
Yeah, and like taking your shoes off before you enter certain buildings, like at our center where we teach, no shoes inside, so they have cupboards outside where you keep your shoes. It's not like that in all buildings, but most places require you to take your shoes off. And I don't know if I mean, it probably is a cultural thing, but also Hanoi is very dirty. So you keep your dirt outside with your shoes, you know?
Yeah.
Sense,
Another thing is personal space.
Doesn't.
does not exist yet. Like you can be standing at the ATM and someone will be like right behind you, and they don't think it's a problem. Even when you're riding your bike, they just pull up right next to you. It's crazy.
Yeah. Or they'll like touch your skin because we're darker than them.
Or they want to touch your hair
Yeah.
or something.
Oh.
They also, the Vietnamese love to take pictures with darker people. I don't know if it's because they've never experienced it before or don't see it much. I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of a thing.
They also have a tendency to stare a lot. They just stare at you with a blank expression. You don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing because we're same sex, same sex couple, because we're brown. I don't know. Those are just some things that we've noticed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously you're joking about it now, and I had similar experiences in China. You really got to use that personal space thing. You just have to stare at the ground, like that's how you get your personal space. But what was the adjustment period like for you? I mean, there must have been an initial few days where you're like, are we a circus act? Like, why is everyone staring at us?
Yeah. I mean, I think what made the transition from coming from South Africa to Vietnam was the fact that we were together.
Yeah.
So we constantly had each other as moral support. But I would say we're still adjusting today. It's been 3 months and we're not completely used to how everything works. We miss home sometimes. We miss the comfort of home. So I also think that's a constant kind of process that you have to go to. And it definitely was easier being here with Kim. So thank you.
Okay, so this again kind of segues pretty easily. What are your thoughts on safety in Vietnam? You know, what would you tell others about how you feel safe or what that's like?
Well, in terms of safety as a couple, totally fine. I feel 100% safe. Besides people staring or asking questions or whatever, but like they're not gonna physically attack us or anything. I'm not worried about anything like that. Also, in Vietnam, they're not very confrontational. So if they have a problem with something, they'll just make their way around it. They'll never confront you or anything. In terms of safety on the bike, that is the one thing that I'm scared of.
Yeah.
And we made sure that we bought proper helmets, and like sometimes we just wear like long sleeve clothing because we have fallen off before. We like raise our elbows and knees, and it's not fun.
So you have fallen?
Yeah, we did fall once.
We had a
On
little
the way to work.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know. Now I know that they don't even have the little side mirrors on their bike anymore because no one looks behind them. They're only looking at what's in front of them. So this woman like swerved in front of us, and me as being the person behind her has to go around her, but I didn't know that. So
I mean, to be fair, we had the bike for 4 days.
Yeah, so it was like that period.
Yeah. I mean, I think one major concern for me regarding safety would be safety as a woman. I mean, I do sometimes feel not threatened, but kind of put under a microscope because I know I am a foreigner and this is not my place. And the men do stare. I don't know if it's because I'm a person of color or because I'm a woman, and that kind of does freak me out a little. And we do hear some stories about how men do behave here, but I mean that's not specific to Vietnam. That's kind of everywhere. So you just have to be extra careful, extra vigilant, and just know what's happening around you all the time, and just take precautions as a woman. That's just the world we live in.
Yeah, so it kind of sounds like the same normal precautions you should take in home country would apply to. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's very fair to say. So when you're talking to people who are thinking about advice for people on, I mean, anything, choosing a country, dealing with culture shock? What's something you want to share?
Well, I think one thing that a family member told us before we were leaving, which I think is really good knowledge, and we always keep it in mind.
Yeah.
So she said to see or to take every challenge as an opportunity and to see every crisis as an adventure.
Wow, you guys have that ingrained in your hearts.
We really do. He told us like 2 days before we left, and it stuck with us since we've been here. Like, you have to just embrace everything that is happening to you. Tap into that fear that does come with moving abroad, and just take everything in and embrace it. And I think that's, yeah.
I mean, everyone's experience is different, so it really just depends. Obviously, when it comes to the basics before you leave, your documents.
Oh my goodness, photo documents.
I think as South Africans, we have an issue with the embassies and stuff. So just make sure you have all your correct documents and your visas, and so that you don't end up in prison, because it does happen, especially in Asia. Maybe learn a little bit of the language before you go, so that you don't get scammed, especially in a taxi. Make sure you have the right currency, and what else? I think when it comes to packing, just pack for all weather.
Yeah.
Because you never know, it could be a really hot sunny day and then suddenly it's monsoon rains and you're not prepared. So, and it's not nice to be in a place where you're like, you don't have an umbrella or rain jacket and you don't know how to get home, and yeah, it's just to have like that little bit of comfort goes a long way.
Yeah. Also, another thing would be that when it comes to your living situation and accommodation, that is one thing that you should not be selfish with. This is where you're going to be living, essentially, if you're not going to be moving around. And when you come home when you're in your space, that should be a space that brings you peace and relaxation and this complete peace of mind, where it's not something that you have to worry about outside. So I think that's also one thing that we learned, that when it comes to where you live, especially if you're not something that, how do you say, familiar to you, you should just split.
Yeah,
if you want to.
Just spend that little extra bit on
Yeah.
rent, because it's so worth it. Because you need to be in a happy place. But it's where you spend most of the time.
That's, very thoughtful advice. Thank you. I'm thinking about that. Okay, well, guys, this has been really, really good. We're coming near, I think, the 30-minute mark. We've gone over it, but are there any, like, I don't want to give you guys the pressure of, like, give us one quote we'll always memorialize you for, but are there any final thoughts you want to leave about Vietnam, or, living abroad as a couple, two women? Like, any final things you haven't had a chance to say that you really want to share?
I think to everyone who's watching this, I think it's a really, really awesome idea, and everyone should do this at least once in their lives.
Yes.
I agree. That's some good advice.
Okay. Well, this will be us signing off. You guys have plans to go out and celebrate or something? Your first, for you, Cam, this is a pretty big Pride year for you. First Pride presentation, and then you go to a parade?
Yeah, probably.
What?
Oh.
We're gonna go out.
Right now.
Yeah, because
Monday night in Vietnam. You're not going to get many more of those. All right. Well, thank you again for your time here. Have a lovely evening, and thank you so much for sharing your stories.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.